when the pandemic started, we were doing, webinars. So I did a whole guide for how to conduct a webinar with screenshots and everything. The day after I put the guide together, Zoom changed everything around.
Oh, no.
So it was so much work. I was frustrated by that.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Katie O'Leary. I work with the Norwalk Redevelopment Agency. You are sitting right now in the Norwalk Business Development Center. The Business Development Center has been nice enough to let us all take this space up once every month. We partner with the Greater Norwalk Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to bring these workshops with you together. Hi, come on in, welcome. Good afternoon.
How are you, Maria?
Good afternoon. For those of you who have joined before, thank you very much for attending again and continuing to attend. Those who are new, welcome for coming, and we're happy that you're here. Those of us in the room, just down the hall, first door on the right is the bathroom, and if you came in the front door, there's a door there, but there's also an exit in the back. If you go up the stairs, and there's an exit in the back.
Parking back there.
Parking back there is fine, yes. So our next workshop is on Friday, May 19th. The topic is transitioning from worker to manager. What should you know before you make the move? Yvonne will talk a little bit more about that later, and specifically about the location. That might be a little bit different. And one thing I just wanted to share with all of you, if you're aware of something called the Neighborhood Assistance Act, those applications or the application for the 2023 season are due next Friday. Applications need to be submitted to me. If you're not familiar with it, if you have any questions or need a copy of the application, you can email me and we'll set up a time to talk, or I can send you whatever. It's called the Neighborhood Assistance Act. But like I said, if you have questions, we'll take that offline. Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm going to turn it over to Yvonne.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody at home, and hi, everybody in the room. I'm gonna grab my glasses because I can get in trouble without them. So, so I'm really excited to see you today because our conversation today is a little bit of a continuation of what we started last time. But for those people that weren't able to come last time, I'll give you a little bit of kind of an overview of things that we talked about when we presented. Anyway, so I'm really happy to see you. And usually the first thing that we do is kind of open up with the agenda so that you know what we have going on today. Let me check the chat. It seems okay. Hi. We'll talk about what we are going to be covering today. By the way, I should introduce myself to the new people. My name is Yvonne Zucco. I am with the Norwalk Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And so I'm a volunteer in the organization, and in my professional life, what I do is people and culture consulting. So I kind of work on these things that I present every day in organizations and the challenges they face when they are trying to have a good culture and kind of train their staff and make sure that people have a good path to grow within the organizations. So let's see. So this series, this is our fourth presentation, I think, right? Fourth presentation. And in the first stage, although it's very small, but when you get the copy of the PowerPoint, you'll be able to see it. We have all the workshops that we have presented so far and the ones that are coming. So the idea is that when we do this work together, we move from the individual wellness to the culture and the organizational wellness, right? Because if you are better as an employee, your organization naturally will do better as well, because you will bring in new tools that you can use.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a message I think in front of the screen on the phone. I don't know if that is affecting.
Let me see. Let me see if I see everybody. I see the room. Yeah. This meeting is being recorded. Got it. Awesome. Thank you. So we have done managing and avoiding burnout. And we have done compassion for self-helpers. We have done building a better organizational culture. And the session today is about conflict management at work. which is very, very linked to what we did last time we met. So we will be seeing a few things that we already saw and reviewing them. So for the agenda today, we have a little bit of principles that run by every time we start the sessions. And then we do a bit of intros. And today we are in good shape because we don't have a lot of people, so we can do introductions for everybody. Then we are going to be talking about healthy teams and the 4 pillars of trust, which is the reflection that we sent in advance to people. For those that didn't have the option to hear about it last time, I'll give a little intro as well. And then we'll move into conflict and what conflict is about, what is good conflict, what is bad conflict, what are the sources of conflict. We'll have a little break. My breaks are 7 minutes, not 5, not 10, 7. And then we will talk about the most common causes for miscommunication, what is active listening, communication's best practices, principles of when you're trying to resolve conflict, what to do and what not to do. And then we will move into something called the MVC communication model that many people that are already providing service may be familiar with because they use it for the people that they are serving, but may not necessarily use it themselves when they are resolving conflict. So we will review that. And next, we just talk a little bit about what to expect today. So we usually at the workshops have a lot of conversations, so participation is key. And also it's an opportunity for you to learn and have some introspection. The approach we take is always like the power is within you and you have the ability to change things if you desire. You have this agency that you can use to change things for the better. Also, these presentations provide you with a sense of community because as people share, you realize you are not alone. You're not the only one that is going through these challenges. And also, you know, we appeal to the collective wisdom. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. But when we come together and we give our opinions, our tips, and we talk about what we know, together we can come with much better solutions to the challenges that we may be facing. So one of the things is that for everybody, and we use this principle in coaching all the time, for people that are trying to find a solution to a challenge that they may have, it's very important not to be told what to do, but that they all come up with their own solutions for what fits them, because everybody is different. Principles to observe, like I said before, we all have the ability to change things around us. Even if we are in a really difficult work environment, at least we have the option of deciding to move someone else, right? We all learn from each other. In that sense, participation is critical because we want to learn from one another. When we have opinions and people want to express their opinion and we may not necessarily agree with what the person is saying, we don't necessarily use but or, we use and. So we are validating what the other person is saying. And additionally to their thought, we have this thought about it as well. So we practice that kind of communication. And I always ask, what other principles would you like to observe when we are together today? Any ideas, things that you think will be a good practice?
I'm getting ready to do my PMP.
Okay.
And I know with one of the employees, the hardest thing is we have to be very detail oriented. But it doesn't get to that person that's what is needed for this kind of work.
Okay.
So that's probably one of the challenges that I'll be asking for more help.
So that's something that you would like to talk about?
Yeah.
Perfect. We will address that. And if I forget, please remind me. Yes.
Oh, I have generational.
Okay.
So younger staff who really want to bring joy into their work, and a different generation who wants the work done and your job to do it. And so there's communications challenges
When it comes to getting them to do the work.
generation. I think it's generation.
That's good because we're going to be talking about culture and differences in how different cultures communicate, and cultures don't only have to do with, with race and ethnicity. It also has to do with gender, sexual preference, and generations. because people communicate different depending on the culture they grew up in. So we will address that and how to be assertive about communicating. So awesome. Anything else for the people that are virtual that they would like to observe today as a principal, they would like to discuss? And you can unmute yourselves if you want to say something. Okay, so if I don't hear anything, but if you want to say something, just unmute yourselves and let me know, okay? So here is one of the things that I wanted to address is the tips for participating remotely. I will have you guys in mute most of the time. If you want to say something, just interrupt me because with sharing the screen, it's very hard to see if anybody's raising their hand or if they are sending a message in the chat. So just feel free to interrupt me at some point when I take some time for breathing. That's the right moment for you to say, I want to say something. We will have one break of 7 minutes. The restrooms are on the back there. We have some food, so please feel free to help yourselves. You are not attached to the chair. You can move around if you feel that you're feeling that, a little bit restless. The PowerPoints and the supporting documents will be sent after the presentation. I usually share resources and things like that. And also we will send you a survey to receive your feedback. That way we keep on improving the next presentation based on what you have said. So that's basically housekeeping. And we are going to start with a few intros. So I'll go through the room and I'll go through the people that are virtually right now. And so what I want to know is your first name. For those people that have been here before, what did you do differently since the last time we met? Or alternatively, you can answer the following question. How do you feel about conflict? And so for people that didn't come to the previous presentation, they can also answer that question. So I will start in the room. So because it's easier for me to see you. And Maria, would you like to go first?
Okay.
I'm volunteering you.
That's okay. Well, my name is Maria. I work at St. Joseph Parenting Center. And I honestly cannot remember exactly what I have done differently since the last presentation. And about conflict, I think conflict is uncomfortable, and for some people can be very uncomfortable, but it's very, very important to address as soon as it comes up.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Lisa?
I'm Lisa Roger with the Norwalk Housing Authority. I guess since the last meeting when we were talking about trust and kind of giving opinions and suggestions, where of course you have your own suggestions that you want to offer. And I have found myself a couple of times when I started to say, well, why don't you? And instead of, I stopped myself, and with a couple of people, I said, well, what do you think we should do? Or try to kind of steer them along the path I want them to be thinking about. And it's worked.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did it work?
But it's different, very different for me. So it's something that I need to practice more.
Well, thank you for getting us started. And yes, practice makes perfect. So continue on doing it. If it has brought you results, that means that you're doing well. Awesome. So Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, I work for a local company, HNPX. We sell actually luxury vinyl tile. And I also am a primary and high school soccer coach, head coach.
Oh.
It's our first time here, so thank you so much. We love it so far. Coffee's great. And how do I feel about conflict? My personality is one of those that I'm too nice. I'm super nice. I mean, when I interview with my boss, I say, if you want to hire a pit bull, I'm the wrong person. I'm super nice. So it's not that I try to avoid it, because you can't avoid it, but I try to take it in a way where what about if that's me? You know, so I try to put myself in that person that I'm gonna talk to, see how I handle it. And most of the time, I think I handle it as best as I can.
Awesome. Because you're too nice, do you ever feel like people walk over you or take advantage of your?
I would
Be
say
nice.
not at the professional level,
Mhm.
but as a soccer coach, yes.
Oh,
Because they're teenagers,
Okay.
they want to try to get away with it.
uh-huh.
I think at the professional level, it's usually not as, you know,
That's-
it doesn't happen, so.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Kyle.
I'm
Uh-huh.
Kyle. I also work at HMPX Industries. For conflict, I also feel I don't like confrontation. So for me, conflict is needed. But I
Uh-huh.
know that's the necessary evil. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Amy, right?
Oh, my name is April.
April, sorry.
I work for a national nonprofit. I'm so glad I found this because I didn't know this was going on, so I apologize for missing the others, because it sounded great too. But, I feel that conflict is necessary in business and in personal life. I am typically the individual who likes to resolve it and move on. I don't carry a grudge, so if we talk about it, we will move on and we won't address it again. My background is I'm a military brat, so perhaps that has a lot to do with it.
Mhm.
Diplomacy and about the importance of protocol. So I also find it to be a challenge with some people I work with. I'm very strict with my, I'm not to put the job on myself.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes I create that conflict unnecessarily.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad you're sharing your background because our background has so much to do with the way we communicate, right? The things that we have learned throughout life that can be useful for us have to do with the way we communicate. So let's go with Lisa, virtual Lisa Cooper.
My name is Lisa Cooper. I can't really recall what I did differently the last time, but I did enjoy the presentation. How do I feel about conflict? Don't like it, but I think it is necessary. But I think if it's done in a certain way, where people can agree to disagree and still, move on, I think that's important.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm glad most people are saying that they realize that conflict is important because it is necessary and it's a creative way to come up with solutions as well. And most people do feel uncomfortable with conflict. So thank you for sharing that piece that you understand that it is necessary. Okay, Amy, do you want to go next?
So, hi, my name is Amy Gentile. I work at Connecticut Renaissance. This is my first presentation, so thank you. And in terms of conflict, kind of like you were just saying, I feel like it is natural and unavoidable, but it can either be done in like a healthy way or an unhealthy way.
Thank you, Amy. Sharon, how are you doing? We miss you here.
I miss you guys too. I'm not trying to be cool. I know I got shades on. It's not because I'm a cool girl. I had some surgery in my eyes, so forgive me if I'm peering in and out. It's amazing because I think I did some of the opposites of what we talked about last week, because I actually got into conflict with someone, and the way the conflict became, came about, it wasn't even like face to face. It was the nice texting and sending email messages, which was misunderstood because I felt attacked through the email and I responded without thinking that maybe responding through email or text is not the appropriate thing to do. And so I'm not a person who likes conflict, I just shrug it off and keep it going. But at this point, something came where the wording was not appropriate. And I felt like, oh, wait a minute. And I think being that it came from someone who was much younger and who had not been doing what I've been doing for such a long time, would give me that kind of, advice. And I was just like, I don't need to be reprimanded by you. type of thing, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then, but like, I've heard over and over, the fact that that happened, it got other people involved. And we have even learned that now communication stops via email or texting, and that we as the group should now get together, and if something is bothering us. And I was able to speak with the young lady, we got it straightened out, and she was like, I have such respect for you that I would never attack you. Maybe my words were wrong, but you know, and we were able to straighten it out. And it got like 3 or 4 people involved in it, but it worked, you know. So feeling conflict is something that I try not to do. But at that point, it was, you know, it was good. And I'm getting ready to probably get into another one with that same employee that I told you, just she's verbally too much. And so you know, I have to say something to her, and in a nice way. It's not going to be anything where, you know,
Right.
it has to be said. So there's nothing I can do to avoid that.
Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, it's sometimes, you know, we learn certain things, and it's perfectly fine to step back and revert to things that we normally do. That's absolutely okay. And hopefully today, some of the things we are going to be sharing will be useful for you to have that conversation with that person. And I apologize. We can see you on the big TV here. I don't know what's going on with my HDMI connection, but I'll fix it in a little bit, because the people that are in the room only can see the PowerPoint right now. So I'll fix it on the break and make sure that we can see our participants on the screen as well. Okay, Evelyn. You're still on mute, Evelyn.
Sorry.
That's
so
right.
My name is Evelyn Morales, and I work at St. Joseph Planning Center. What I did differently, I don't think I did differently from last time, but I kept taking my own advice that I gave. Being patient with others is always a good reminder. So I keep practicing that in the workplace, because, you know, everybody has a lot going on, so we need to practice patience. How I feel about conflict in the workplace happens, but like everybody else mentioned, we should deal with those things and address them with respect and kindness, and you know, setting boundaries. We have to remember that we are in the workplace, and get resolution resolved, and you do that by communicating and talking about things.
Thank you, Evelyn. That's great. All right, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. It gives me a lot of food for thought as we talk throughout the presentation. So just going back a little bit to what we talked about last time when we were talking about culture within organizations. One of the things that we talk about is that healthy teams express themselves. They talk, they question, they challenge, and they participate. If that is not happening, then you have the potential for a toxic culture to be happening, right? Because what is not talked about on the surface amongst people, it's being talked about underneath the surface in ways of gossip or, you know, misunderstandings and so on. So it is important for teams to communicate and actively talk about what is happening. It helps us be better, but it takes to have certain kind of attitude to be able to and trust that your culture allows for you to talk about the things that are going on. But you know, conflict is natural, so we'll move into that. When we talked about culture last time, one of the things we addressed was that trust is a big thing. You feel in a safe environment if you are able to trust the people that you work with. And so the model of trusting somebody has basically 4 pillars or 4 distinctions. First of all, in order for you to trust someone that you are working with, you have to feel like that person cares. We are all in this together. We are following the same, we are pursuing the same goals. We are trying to get to the same purpose, and we care for one another. The next thing that is super important is reliability. You need to know that the person that you're working with is reliable, that they are going to come through with the things that they have promised to do. So it's kind of, you can count on me to do what I promised I was going to do. And if you don't get to that, if you are not able to do what you promised, at least to say, look, I was super busy this week. I don't think I'm gonna meet that deadline. Can you give me a few more days, or can I get some extra help? The capacity of communicating when things are not working out. The other one is sincerity. And that talks about, saying what you mean and meaning what you say. Basically, that there is no double kind of discourse going on, that people feel that people are being sincere around them. And the last one is competency. And it means that people can do what they are supposed to do for their job. And if they can do it, they have this, they can learn the skills so that they can be effective at their jobs. So my question to you right now is, which one of these 4 pillars do you think is easier to resolve or to work with?
There,
Okay, tell me what you're thinking about that.
I have a saying, I always, when I talk to my coworkers, I
Mhm.
spend more time with them than I spend at home. So I have to care for them also, because it cannot just be work.
Right.
If the employee comes in and says, I have an issue with my dog or XYZ, I have to care about it. I have to show compassion. I can't just shrug it off and say, well, just a dog, move on. But
Mhm.
you gotta show that you care for the person.
Yeah.
The person that you're managing or you're working with.
That's very nice, Rodrigo. I like to work with you. Yeah, but showing care for people is, very, very key. That they are people before they are work. And so a long time ago, I learned this saying about, do not care so much about the work that you forget about the people. And sometimes when we move into managerial positions, we are still on the mode, I have to produce. And we forget that what is allowing us to produce the work are people, and people want to be cared for, but they want to know that the people that they're working with care about who they are as a person. So care is super key. For some people, doesn't come naturally, but that's something that you can train yourself at doing. Before, you can always stop sorry, I have a pop-up here. You can always stop and do something different, talk to them differently, think about what you're gonna say. For example, one of the things that happened with me in April, I don't know if you can relate to that, is because I'm so effective at answering people quickly, I forget to say good morning. So, and that's for some people is important, because I go straight and answer that question. So I have to usually review my text or my responses and go back and say, hey, good morning. How are you? Or I hope you're doing well. Remember that piece is important for many, many people, independently of whether you are trying to be as effective as possible at getting the message through. Another one that is easy to work on is competency, because competency is something that people can learn over time. If they are sincere and they say, I can't do that. So building in your workplace a place of trust in which people feel that they will not be criticized if they don't know how to do something is very important, because anything that we don't know can be learned. And as we feel more competent, we feel more willing to do the work. We are less scared, we procrastinate less, we feel more engaged. So competency is an easy one to fix. Who wants to say something about reliability? And you can count that I deliver what I promise.
That's a challenge for me.
Tell me about it.
With some of my coworkers who just take on so much. They're yes people. I respect that, and they want to do a job and they want to do it all. But they cannot do it all. And so things slip. And that becomes a challenge for everybody they're working with. And I respect that they really want to do a good job. They're just not capable of it because they've stretched themselves so thin. And in working nonprofit, every day is different. So you're doing everything nonprofit work. Every job that needs to get done gets done by someone and someone else. So I think that, to me, is a challenging, so I try to find empathy with that and constructively not criticize, but saying, how can I help? Or can you adjust? Or can we work in a different way? Let's adjust our deadlines. Because I don't want to lose her trust.
Right.
And
Absolutely. Thank you so much for talking about that, because reliability has a lot to do with, how much work people put on their plate. And sometimes some people are not reliable, but not because they are not responsible. It's just because they don't have enough bandwidth to do everything they have committed to. And we are really bad at saying no. Most people are bad at saying no at something, right? Or putting things on the side because a new priority has come up. So, as a manager, it's super essential to kind of like know when your team is like stretching themselves. What is hard is when your boss is stretching themselves, and how do you manage that, right? How do you talk with them and have enough trust that you can say, hey, maybe our priorities should be lowered down. The other thing is that in nonprofit, we are always asked to be doing more. So it's very hard to say no because the need is so big. Who wants to say something about sincerity? Oh, Sharon, you have your hand up. Tell me, what are you thinking?
I was going to talk about reliability, which is something I think the young lady that just spoke, when you become that person, I think it's very hard because it's always, you're always the go-to, that's okay, give it to Sharon. She can do that. She will do that, that kind of thing. And the stress level that brings on you, because that you become, that little symbol of reliability. And I think that can be a stressful thing, because it's like you have to continually prove yourself.
Yes, I agree. So that goes that saying, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah.
Right. So it is hard. It is hard to kind of say no sometimes. And it's something that takes practice as well. There is a book called The Power of a Positive No, and they talk about how to say no in a way that doesn't feel like they're being told no. It's a pretty good book. It is short.
What is it? Power of a Positive No?
Yes. I'll include it in the PowerPoint with the resources.
Okay.
I'll take a little picture of it and send it your way. Yes, it talks about saying no, but in which way you say no. Is sometimes you give people alternatives, and it's a much better way to say no.
Yeah.
What about sincerity? Does anybody want to talk about that? Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
So first off, most of the time, I would never win in a poker game, because people look at my face and they can read it. So regardless of what I'm thinking, they read my face. And it's, it's something I can't control. So people know that anyway. So that being the case, then why not just be honest and say what I mean? And I do. I think when I speak with people, I'm doing my best to be truthful and honest, while still stating whatever opinions I may have about situations. And I would like to think that it's reciprocal, but it's not always.
Not always. And and we want to presume the best of people. I have heard a lot of comments, saying this person is a liar, this person is not truthful, they are just making things up. So one important thing is sometimes people may change their mind about how they think about something. So when we express something that we feel or we think, clarifying and saying this, and I thought about this and I think differently now, goes a long way, so that people do not perceive like you're having double message or changing your mind all the time. And we'll talk about also about the right time to have a conversation, because being ready for a conversation is super important. And sometimes people want to have a conversation with us to take us off guard and we are not ready, we haven't thought things through. So we'll talk about that as well. So the reflection that we gave our attendees last time was, what is it that you give and what is it that you get? So it's very simple. Out of those 4 pillars, right, which I'm going to put back in the screen, and you can write on any paper if you want. What is it that you feel you give to people? In this case, for example, Lisa said, I give honesty. That's who I am, and this is how I show. And this is what I expect from people, what I want to get from people. So if you take a few minutes and give it a little thought, and then we'll go around the room and see what people think. I'll go back into this slide and I'll try to fix this situation. Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna get out. Okay. But you see, my HDMI is not capturing the rest of my screen. So when I get out of the presentation, it just goes like that. I don't know why. It is one. Let me try to share again. Nothing is happening. I don't know. It's just one of those things that sometimes happen. I just noticed I have Marcel and Maureen in the room, and also Crystal. I didn't see you guys in the room before, so hi. How are you?